Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, welcome to Catholic Chicago. I'm Father Greg Sakowicz, the rector of Catholic Cathedral here in Chicago. And to my left, great dear friend, Mark Teresi, who is involved with our 175th anniversary, 150th anniversary, and does about 20 things, so he wears so many hats. So good morning, Mark, how are you?
Very good.
You want to make a plug for something?
Yes. Misericordia, our daughter is at Shannon Apartments, and Misericordia has their candy days. April 25th and 26th. You go online, it used to be, there'd be people on the corner soliciting, but what they've discovered during COVID and now afterwards, people are very generous online. So you go to misericordia.org, look up Candy Days, and please be generous.
Will they have people at corners, or is that over?
Just symbolically, they might, I think downtown they're going to have one group, but that's it.
So very minimal with the corner.
All online, misericordia.org.
Wonderful. And we have a tremendous program lined up. We have with us Todd Williamson, the director of the Office of Divine Worship in Chicago. Todd, good morning. Welcome to the program. And you have been the director for how many years?
In my 25th year.
Oh, congratulations.
Are you kidding
Silver
me?
anniversary.
I know.
I remember when you were named, it's been now a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
When's your
Nice
start
way
date?
to put it.
Yeah. When's your start date?
It was May 1st
Of 2000.
of 99.
Well, it's 26
so
years.
I'm 20, in the office I've been 26. I've
Got
been
it, got it.
director for 25.
25. And it,
That's wonderful.
out of curiosity, what did you do before this position?
I was on staff at St. Anne's Parish in Lansing.
In Lansing.
Wow. Who was pastor then?
It was Father Mike Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
Mike Gabriel. Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
Who's now at St. Gertrude's.
Right.
Where were you?
Right.
Yeah, a wonderful priest. And you were raised in Chicago.
No, raised in Michigan, north of Detroit.
Are you a Detroit Lions fan?
I am not.
Detroit Tigers fan?
I'm a Detroit Tigers fan.
What about football?
Football is
Not big for you.
not big. Baseball's my sport.
No.
How did you
kidding.
end up in Chicago then?
Studies at
Oh.
Catholic Theological Union.
Oh,
You were at CTU.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Funny, I've been a priest now almost 46 years. You've been in the office now 25 plus. And I've always thought of the office of Todd Williamson. It's Todd Williamson. You do so much for the cathedral,
There's
working
a
with
lot of
Father
people
Andy
there.
and our staff.
but you're also a great ambassador for the office, to particularly Holy Name.
Oh my
You've
gosh.
done wonderful work
People
with us.
love you, and I'll tell you, you've got a very high-pressure job.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
liturgies, all that you're trying to coordinate, make it beautiful liturgically, and you do. But now we are entering a very critical, holy time of year. As our Lenten season comes to a close, we're now moving toward Holy Week. But I always say this, Lent has been an opportunity to put speed bumps into our lives,
Right.
to help slow us down. But then, Todd, we're going to take it one by one, but explain to people, what is Holy Week?
Oh my goodness. It is the most important week of our whole year. It literally, Holy Week is at the heart of who we are as Catholics. It identifies us. It governs us. In fact, our whole liturgical year is built around this time. Our whole liturgical year is built around the date of Easter, and Holy Week is part of that.
And maybe for just
it's
a
the most
moment,
important.
as we go break it down, is many people have asked me, how come Easter, not like Christmas, December 25th, the same day, but Easter, last year was, I think, March 31st, the year before, April 9th.
Right.
This year, April 20th. Explain.
Easter is marked in a most ancient way. Easter is determined by the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. It's determined
Now,
by the lunar
say that one
calendar.
more time.
Yeah.
It's the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox.
Which is March 20 or 21. So if I'm not mistaken, the earliest Easter could be, I think, is March 22 or March 23.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
the latest would be April 25th.
Yes.
So it's somewhere in there.
Yeah. And we're right there at April 20th this year.
So it's actually late,
Yes.
comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
So before we get into Triduum, some people know that on Tuesday all the priests come for the Chrism Mass. Could you explain that to folks?
Sure. Well, yeah, the Chrism Mass is a beautiful liturgy. Happens in every diocese all over the world, and it's where the bishop. Technically, it's scheduled for the morning of Holy Thursday, but the norms allow for it to be at another time if it's more convenient. And in Chicago, as long as I've been here, it's always been on Tuesday of Holy Week.
Tuesday afternoon around 2:30.
Right, and it is the Mass where the bishop blesses all of the holy oils and consecrates the chrism that'll be used in his diocese and all the parishes in the sacramental life of the church for that year. Wow. So what a unifying liturgy, because all of those oils, the oil of the sick, where the pastor is anointing his people who are ill or homebound, the oil of catechumens used at every infant baptism and throughout the catechumenate for adults, and the sacred chrism for infant baptisms and confirmations. Every parish receives those oils, and they're blessed at this one liturgy. So it's the bishop surrounded by his clergy, priests from the archdiocese come and concelebrate. And
huge numbers, by the way.
And his faithful, the faithful of his archdiocese.
At the same time, also parishioners, there's usually explained by the representative from each parish.
Now, the pastor might send a representative from the parish to the cathedral for that Mass in order to get the holy oils for his parish that year.
There's a great spirit that day.
Yeah.
Don't you feel it?
It's also like a day of recollection for the priests, where
Right.
we gather for a morning reflection, have lunch together, and then get away to the cathedral for the 2:00 liturgy with Cardinal Supich. So it is a very carved out day, tremendous turnout, and people forget that the oils that are used are blessed, renewed every year.
Every year.
It's like once every 5 years.
Right. It's every year. It's every year.
So that someone in the parish, we have our little guy being baptized, they know where that oil came from.
Yeah.
Confirmation, they know where that oil
It was
came
blessed
from.
in the Chicago Archdiocese by Cardinal Supich at Tuesday of Holy Week every year.
Yeah.
Right, I've been a priest almost 46 years, and yeah, it's been on the Tuesday before Holy Thursday.
Yep.
It has not been on a Monday or Wednesday or Thursday, because I think Thursday morning would be so difficult in Chicago as we're getting ready for the evening at 5:15 with the Holy Thursday celebration. But speaking of that, explain Holy Thursday, Todd.
Well, so the whole week, obviously, right? That's why we call it Holy Week, and it commemorates the last week of the life of Jesus on earth, leading up to his passion, death, and resurrection. So it's within Holy Week that we have these celebrations of Palm Sunday and the Chrism Mass that lead to the shortest liturgical season we have in the whole year, the Triduum. It leads to the celebration, which is the core. This is the heart of Holy Week, is the Triduum, the 3 days. Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday. And we were talking about marking time earlier. It's interesting because the Triduum itself is marked by the moon. So what I mean by that is this. We say it's 3 days, right? Well, you count Thursday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday. What about Easter Sunday? Where's that?
It's always interesting. Well, now we got 4 days.
Right,
So keep going.
it's 3. Because these days, they are so important, we mark their passing differently. We go back to the ancient way of marking time. Not sunrise to sunrise, but sunset to sunset. And so Holy Thursday starts in the evening at sunset. From sunset on Thursday to sunset on Friday, day 1. From sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday, day 2. From sunset on Saturday to sunset Easter Sunday, day 3.
That's why the Easter Vigil is not at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or
Right.
4.
Right.
It usually begins, like in Chicago, we're going to have it at the cathedral at 8 p.m.
After
Because
night,
now-
after the sun sets.
Exactly, sunset, 8 p.m. I think it's about 7:30, roughly now in Chicago, give or take a few minutes. So now we've now started the Easter Vigil, marked by sunset on Saturday evening through Sunday.
Right.
There's your 3 days.
Right, so beginning with Holy Thursday. So Holy Thursday is the day that we commemorate the institution of the Holy Eucharist and the institution of the priesthood. It marks Jesus' Last Supper. Long have I desired to eat this meal with you, right? He gathers with his disciples, and this begins his passion. And that's what's commemorated on Holy Thursday. It's marked by the wonderful ritual of the washing of the feet, the new commandment, right? It's interesting because, and we always hear from that account in John's Gospel on Holy Thursday, of the washing of the feet. And in John's Gospel, that's the Eucharistic institution. John's Gospel does not have an institution of the Eucharist like Matthew, Mark, and Luke. The scene at the Last Supper where Jesus takes bread, he broke the bread, gave it to his disciples, saying, right? That's not in
That
John.
is found in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. But also then the washing the feet is not found
in those,
Matthew, Mark,
right.
and Luke, but only John.
And in John's Gospel, that's the institution of the Eucharist, which is giving of yourself.
It's called a service.
Right. It's
fascinating that in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, you have the words, but not found in John. But John has washing the feet, which is not found in Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
And they're the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The self-emptying, that's Eucharist. That's what Eucharist is. The self-emptying to the world, to his brothers and sisters. And we do that every Holy Thursday.
I've always thought Holy Thursday is also the day that we can, in some way, liturgically say thank you to the priests who have served us.
Yeah, right. Because that's, again, on that night, tradition has that Jesus instituted the priesthood.
So you make a recommitment that
Yes,
day.
exactly.
How does that feel?
It's powerful.
Yeah.
But every diocese and every parish can sometimes do it differently. But I really find Holy Weeks to be so holy. And that Triduum, it does fly by. And sometimes you can get so caught up with the work of the day that you forget about the beauty of the celebration. Because all the work that goes into Holy Thursday, all the work into Good Friday, the Easter Vigil, the cathedrals are going to have alone, 32 people that evening.
Yes.
I think about 16
wonderful.
for
16 catechumens.
Yeah, for catechumens for baptism. And but it's powerful.
These liturgies, again, they are the most important liturgies that we celebrate all year long.
Now, we go to Good Friday, and explain to folks the radical difference in that celebration.
Well, remember, it's all one celebration. We look, especially liturgically.
It's seamless.
Yeah, we look at these three celebrations, these 3 days, as one event. And so it begins, as we said, with the Mass of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday. At the end of the Mass of the Lord's Supper, there is no dismissal, there's no blessing. Right after communion, it goes into the reposition of the Blessed Sacrament. So all of the communion that's left over is taken in procession to an altar of repose. That's where the liturgy ends. There's no dismissal, there's no concluding prayer. The idea is we've entered into the Triduum. And so we mark that night in prayer and adoration. The adoration ends. We go back into our own private prayer, and on Good Friday, we go back into liturgy.
Tom, maybe you can explain for a moment, and that is, before we really get into Good Friday, with Holy Thursday, many parishes, including Cathedral, were open till, I think it's 11 or 12 midnight. And I remember my mother, who was at Holy Trinity as a little girl over in Milwaukee Division, she remembers vividly on Holy Thursday in the evening, Mom and Grandma, her mom, would go to 7
Yeah.
different churches. Explain what was that all about?
So that's a custom. It's a tradition. It comes out of Rome, with the visitation of the 7 basilicas.
Oh.
So the tradition is that on Holy Thursday night, from your parish, you would go to 7 other parishes to visit their altar of repose, to make a visit to the Blessed Sacrament there. That's where that tradition
We even
comes
have
from.
at the cathedral, this is no lie, a good number of buses.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
They'll come
There
by
are parishes
bus.
that will do that.
Yeah, they gather on a bus at their home parish and then make the circuit around. Many include Holy Name Cathedral as one of the stops. They come in, they're very prayerful, kneel down, 10, 15 minutes, back on the bus to another parish.
It's like a pilgrimage.
Yes,
It
it's like a
is.
mini
Yeah,
pilgrimage.
it's like but many places, if they have the bus like that, in between churches, they might pray the Rosary, or they might pray the Liturgy of the Hours, or something like that. Literally, it's a mini pilgrimage.
We're going to go to a break. Mark will take us to break, and then we'll pick up on the second half, starting with Good Friday.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
good. Catholic Chicago, we're with Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi, Todd Williamson, who's having his silver anniversary as director of the Office of Divine Worship. We'll be back in a few minutes. We'll talk about Good Friday, Holy Saturday, Easter, and then I want to talk about a little bit about the 50 days of Easter.
All right.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
I am a seminarian.
The Church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
No, I'll tell you what.
You'll take it. We're back. Catholic Chicago.
That was real smooth.
Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi, Todd Williamson. We're here talking about Holy Week, and we're ready to talk about Good Friday.
So we like I said earlier, there is no concluding prayer. There's no dismissal at Holy Thursday. There is no, in the name of the Father. There's no greeting in the liturgy of the Lord's Passion. It's not a mass.
Because we're continuing from the night
Exactly,
before.
because we've been, the Triduum has begun on Holy Thursday. And so we gather again for our public prayer, and it's the liturgy of the Lord's Passion. There is no greeting. It begins with the priest and other ministers prostrating themselves. It begins in humility. It begins in somber recognition of what we gather to commemorate. And it is the Lord's Passion. It's not a mass, although the communion is given out. It's the...
Just a little sidebar, that's why on Holy Thursday evening, we consecrate an incredible number of hosts.
So they have them.
So we have them for Friday,
Right.
and so we have all these consecrated, unconsecrated hosts on Holy Thursday to be consecrated for Good Friday, which tremendous numbers come to the cathedral. And if we were to forget to do that, we'd be in trouble.
Right. Yeah. Well, Good Friday is the liturgy of the Lord's Passion. It's really four main movements. It's on this day only, that we hear John's account of the Passion. Wow. Always John's Gospel on Good Friday. So we gather, which remember, John's Gospel is the Gospel of glory. John's Gospel is the Gospel where Christ does not cry out on the cross. Oh. John's Gospel is where Jesus says over and over and over, I give myself, I will be lifted up. It's the glory of the cross that is celebrated on Good Friday, which is interesting because that's the entrance antiphon for Holy Thursday, the very beginning of the Triduum.
Now,
we should glory in the cross of our Lord
maybe
Jesus
just
Christ.
for Good Friday, it's broken into different parts. Explain each part.
So the first part is Liturgy of the Word. We hear the Suffering Servant, one of the songs of the Suffering Servant from Isaiah. We hear John's account of the Passion. Then we move from there into the veneration of the cross,
Which is beautiful.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Powerful.
and it is that it's the adoration and the adoration of the cross where we venerate it. It is powerful. I think it's one of the most moving rituals during this whole time, where people will the faithful are invited to venerate the cross in some way. It's interesting. It doesn't say how we are to venerate it. Some people will bow to the cross. Some people will genuflect. Some people will go and just lay their hand on it. I've seen people go and actually embrace the cross.
And many kiss the cross.
Many kiss
now,
the
remember,
cross.
before COVID, everyone came to kiss the cross.
Right.
With COVID, it kind of was a game changer. Whereas you say, it's really one, either you can come forward and you bow, you genuflect, you touch, you embrace, you kiss, but it's done quickly but reverently.
Oh, yeah.
In a short story, you connect with the suffering. And I remember our son, Marty, he was young, but I went with him, we saw the Passion of the Christ. Some people have different opinions about, but it portrays the suffering.
Right.
We were at church the next Sunday, and when they did Christ has died, he said, I'll never think the same way about those words.
Wow.
And I thought, for a young person,
This was Marty?
to connect with the suffering.
Yeah, but it's also the glory.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's also the glory. I mean, we venerate this instrument of torture, this instrument of execution, because, as Paul says, we should glory in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, who is our life and our resurrection.
Now, your thought on this. Our cross at Holy Name, does that
Resurrection
model
cross.
that in terms of the image?
A resurrection cross.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways it does point to that,
Yeah.
the
As you're
glory
talking
of the
about-
cross, right?
And also,
Because we know the cross, because of Christ, we know the cross never has the last word.
Right.
Never.
But I always say
Right.
this, there is no resurrection without Good Friday.
Right.
But also, when I go to grammar school, I'll tell the children, we have Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Vigil, Easter morn, Easter. I say, why is it Good Friday? Why isn't it Bad Friday, Sad Friday, Tearful Friday? Good because death does not have the last word. The Lord died on the cross, no question, but he rose to new life, eternal resurrection.
We don't pretend that we don't know the end of the story. I mean,
Right.
the Triduum is not a reenactment of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. That's not what it is. It's a commemoration. We enter into that, right? And
To remember, to make present.
right, to remember to make present. Yeah, I was at a workshop yesterday where they used the term, we remember forward. Right?
Remember forward.
That's what
I like that,
liturgy
remember
is.
forward.
We remember forward.
That's how we should look at life, don't you think?
Exactly. And so the veneration of the cross, that's the second main part, right? The third main part are the intercessions. On Good Friday, the intercessions are like at no other time during the year. It's actually a most ancient form of the intercessions. You notice there's a pattern in the intercessions on Good Friday. It really is it's a dialogue. It's a back and a forth. There's an introduction. Let us pray for the church, and then there's a moment of silence, so that everybody can do what they were just invited to do, pray for the church.
Smart.
And then after a moment of prayer, we stand and the priest gathers all of those prayers into a collect. That's the pattern for the intercessions. Mm-hmm. There's the invitation, there's the intercession, there's a moment of prayer to pray for what we were just asked to pray for, and then a collect prayer. It's one of the most ancient forms we have of that. And we only do it on Good Friday.
And now
there are many.
And maybe explain, like in
11.
Chicago, very famous, the Pilsen neighborhood. Many areas have a walk. In fact, the cathedral, there's a group that comes from different parts of Chicago. They walk about 4 miles down the downtown walk and end up at the cathedral. But the Pilsen neighborhood is famous, so it always makes the newspaper. Explain about the Pilsen neighborhood.
So
Good Friday.
Yeah, it's an adaptation, a version of the Stations of the Cross, the Via Crucis, the way of the cross, right? So and that would be a reenactment where there are young people. Usually it's young people who play different characters in the Passion of Christ. And so there's a person who plays Christ and who carries the cross. There are Roman soldiers, and they're dressed as such.
Full garb.
There are the women along the way who Jesus meets in carrying the cross. And so it's outside. It's a vast expanse.
I think it was about 12 years ago. It was done in the snow.
Yeah.
Really?
It was snowing out, and maybe about 17, 18, it was amazing because the footage on TV showed snow.
Yeah.
And so it was like 34 degrees. It's been heavy rain, but rain or shine or snow, that happens.
Yeah.
And many places have a walk from parish to parish on Good Friday. The funny thing is, when I was a child, of course 100 years ago, that in my home on Good Friday was pretty much silent.
Oh yeah.
And
3
especially between noon and 3.
The traditional time.
I wasn't allowed to eat.
Right.
I had to say a rosary and be quiet. And to be quiet for 3 hours was killing me.
Yeah.
3 minutes. For that. Can we move to Holy Saturday?
Oh, stand-up comic. On that note, move to Holy Saturday.
Well, we're still in the midst of the Triduum. There is no final blessing for the liturgy of the Lord's Passion. The Triduum is just continuing, and so we move from the liturgy of the Lord's Passion then into our we go back to private prayers, quiet reflection. As you were saying, Father Greg, there are many parishes where the altar of repose from Thursday is gone, and the cross that was venerated is put in its place, and people would come and pray before the cross through the afternoon into the evening. That leads to Holy Saturday. And Holy Saturday, in the morning, there are the preparation rites for those who are going to be baptized that evening. And then the vigil of all vigils, the mother of all vigils, the church calls it, the Easter Vigil. It begins in darkness. It begins after the sun has set for the service of light. And it's meant to begin in the darkness after the sun
Even
has
for
set.
our viewers, there's tremendous footage here as Cardinal Sakowicz makes his way out to the fire.
Right. So there's a roaring, it says a blazing fire is what the general instruction says. So it's to be a big fire. And that fire is blessed. And from that blessed fire, the Paschal candle is lit. The Paschal candle, which is an image of the risen Christ, right? This great candle that is lit, it's prepared, it's lit, and then that candle for the rest of the year will stand with every baptism and will stand with every funeral. So at the beginning and at the end of life, that candle is lit and is a prominent symbol. It's a symbol of the risen Christ.
And then take us through the Easter Vigil.
Then that light is shared. right? It's brought into the church, into a dark church, and that light is shared among everyone who is present, who has a
which is
candle as
powerful,
well.
because the church is in complete darkness, and all of a sudden you see from one candle, now and it really lights up the cathedral with 800 candles lit. It's amazing.
That symbolism is meant to be there.
Yeah.
That's why it's meant to begin in the dark, because it begins with this whole interplay that darkness does not overcome. That's the symbolism. It's literally meant where the fire and that candle, which is a representation of Christ, right, the light of the world, literally changes the darkness, chases the darkness away. That symbolism is meant to be there. That light is spread, and that leads to the singing of the Exalted, the Easter hymn, the premier Easter hymn. The singing of the Exalted on this night, on this holy night. Shake, let this building shake.
Powerful.
With, Mother Earth, exalt, rejoice. On this night, he broke the chains of death. On this night, he conquers sin and death.
And then moving through, this is the night in which, baptism, the waters are blessed, and take it from there.
Well, we have the liturgy of the Word, which again is unique. It's right. There are 9 readings that are possible, and it's the story of salvation. It's salvation history. This is where we hear Exodus, right? In the very beginning. In the beginning in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, right? And then we go through the patriarchs, so the call of Abraham and the offering of Isaac, and we hear from the prophets. Isaiah, come to the water. You were referencing that. Come to the water, all you who are thirsty. We hear the Exodus, the account of the crossing of the Red Sea. Only on this night, we hear from Paul to the Romans, are you not aware that we who were baptized into Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? And so the liturgy of the Word is, and again, it's different. Each reading is followed by a psalm, and each psalm is followed by a collect prayer. So it's reading, response, prayer, reading, response, prayer.
You're reminding me. So Richard Fragamini asked me to come and cantor for the Holy Saturday at Pompeii, and you're just reminding me about the rhythm of the readings.
Of the liturgy of the Word.
And how it draws people in.
Yeah, exactly. Leads to what you were just referencing, Father Greg. It leads to the ritual of baptism, where those who have been journeying with our parishes, the elect, now they're the elect, the unbaptized, who have been journeying through the parish's initiation ministry, the OCIA, the Order of Christian Initiation of Adults. They've been
which used to be called RCIA. It's now OCIA.
Right, the order. They've been with our parishes for months, learning what it means to be a Christian. And they have decided that they will be baptized, and the church says you will be baptized at the Easter Vigil.
That's beautiful.
And so all of these adults, all over the Archdiocese, all over the world, are baptized into the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ that night. It's also the night where we receive into the full communion of the Catholic Church baptized Christians from other denominations, those who are baptized in the Lutheran Church or the Episcopalian Church or the Baptist Church, and they are welcomed into full communion. And all of those are confirmed that night, and they are invited to the banquet of the Lamb.
Well, I'll tell you, we could have kept going, and I can't believe it's been way past a half hour. So I want to thank in a very special way Todd Williamson, the Director of the Office of Divine Worship in the Archdiocese of Chicago, for being with us as a guest this morning. Todd, you are just a plethora of knowledge, but also you make it very practical how it connects to our lives.
Yes.
And I have an idea. Why don't we invite you back to talk about the 50 days of Easter. We always forget. We think Easter's the end.
Right.
It's a new beginning.
Yep.
It's the whole of 50 days of Easter, which is very, very important. So also special thanks to Mark Teresi, stand-up comic here to my left sitting down. Great work of our producer engineers, Michael May and Clint Cottrell, created tremendous B-roll of the whole Holy Week. So to all of you, thank you. To our listeners, may God bless you. May this week be holy. Take the time for reconciliation. take the time to be present on Holy Thursday, Good Friday, the Vigil, Easter Sunday. Our lives are busy. We need to slow down and keep the whole season in perspective this Holy Week. May God bless all of you.